Okay, so when we look at the lesson beginning of the week where they were going over their assessment, it looks like you had time to address each student individually when you were going through. You gave them back the assessment, they had time to look at it, and initially you already got them started thinking toward what they might have left out or what they might have done incorrectly with the hint. So that was good, good immediate feedback. And then each student had time to think about what to do next, to give the item a second attempt. The ones that were confusing, that maybe they didn't have enough practice for, they still got to work through, even if it meant kind of struggling through. That one item with the folded paper it kind of added a three-dimensional side to it that we haven't really touched on.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to really catch that. That was a challenging item. They each seemed to be really focused and engaged and working on their corrections. And then comfortable checking in with you when they were ready to have something checked or when they had a question about something. I think that this is, I wonder, when we have corrections to work on in a larger group, how do you think you might adapt the style of the corrections time here? Because this size group works really well for just sitting at a table together. It's hard with the grade 5s. They're the bigger group. It's hard with 15 to do it the same way.
Sure.
How do you think you might adapt that to a larger group?
A larger group. I might have them to look at, you mean like assessments or homework? Assessments.
Going through assessments, yeah.
Oh, so the first round is still like an assessment mode where they're using a different color pencil and trying to get the hints, to work on the hints. And then if they still have questions, I might do like the ice cream treat where they can write the name and then someone can help that question and present on the board. Yeah, because the last time.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's a good way, I think, to differentiate. The ones who are early finishers are often glad to help the ones who are still working on corrections. You mean, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This was the day after the assessment? I'm trying to remember. Or is this Monday?
The day after is on Tuesday. So two girls did their assessment on Monday,
right.
and three on Friday. And it's a Tuesday.
This is really good immediate feedback and an opportunity to self-correct, which is going to solidify their content knowledge. Good. And I agree with your reflection about, I think there might have been a couple items that had such a new angle to it. Not angle like in the shapes, but a new added feature to it. We didn't do many challenge problems besides it just being a bigger combination of shapes. We didn't have that 3D aspect like the folded paper, so they should have had a bit more practice on that, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, the second big portion of the lesson, I was really impressed to see how you helped them tune in to some of the architecture that's in the country where most of them have grown up, but there's so much influence from other countries on the architecture. So the initial questions of what they notice, what they see, what shapes they see, I think that helps them to engage. They kind of start to talk over each other, and then you're not getting quality information about their experiences back. So at that point, their their personalities, like with any correction, they're quick to like overcorrect with behavior. This crew. So, excuse me. So, if you want them to not talk over each other, then they're all just like get quiet. So you have to keep them engaged and say, okay, I want to hear you's thought, and then Sophia, you're next, and then Reno, you wait, and after Sophia, like you might have to
arrange them.
Yeah.
So sort of like give them like so that they know when are they going next to share their opinions or thoughts about certain things, and then so that they don't talk one over the other, and okay.
Or you could kind of talk about what the next set of basic questions is going to be, and as you're going through them, give each person one by name. Say, Sophia, I'm going to start by asking you what shapes you see. After that, Alicia.
So I will assign the questions. Hope you're okay.
Yeah, I'm all right. Sorry.
I will assign the questions to them, and then before I present the content.
As a bit of a heads up, but also to reorganize and recenter the conversation, they should be able to tell when, as a group, they're not communicating in an organized way any longer, as small as they are.
Okay.
And the snaps thing, you might, with a group this small, you might need a few more tools in your toolbox.
Okay.
Because if you use that one, each time you snapped, they were kind of like, they would put their hands like right close to your face, like, oh, you're messing with my song.
Okay.
So you might want to change it up one way or another. Again, like putting a bit of an order to sets of questions.
Okay.
But it's balance, right? You don't want to have to plan all of that minuscule detail out. So a balance of group time and kind of structured responses. This is them applying what they've learned of the mathematic concepts to a wider concept in our social studies unit, which is tricky at times on the math side. But I thought that your set of questions that you had ready for them to be thinking about it, I thought that was really helpful. I think that there was a good balance in talking about how it's really important for measurements to be accurate, but in hindsight, and this is for both of us, I think, collaboratively planning, relating angles more from the start to where we see them in the real world, and why accuracy in angle measurement is important. But it's good to see that your questionings directed them in thinking about what would happen in buildings in the real world if the architect wasn't really solid on the measurements from the start.
Yeah.
And I think that their observations were pretty creative. They noticed things. You were saying, so they asked questions you felt like you hadn't really, you didn't really have a chance to prepare for. So in hindsight too, if we're going to make a meaningful connection between the greater theme of the entire social studies unit and the math, we should make sure that we collaborate on that with enough time for there to be planning for expecting those questions. So yes, when I throw in slides like this for a lesson in the future, I'll make sure that we have time to go through that together. And the projects I thought were really, really good. They each had really good ideas, and there were unique aspects that I didn't expect them to think about, like the recyclable materials as a building material. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you come up with that, or was it Alicia?
Why you
Yeah.
thought of the recycling materials, and then they talked about collaboration.
Mm.
Yeah. So then they were thinking on how they would like to present, and then they were saying, oh, why not I collaborate with you? I collect this, and then you can use it for your extension buildings. Because why you was thinking about, I said you have your building already. Why are you still collecting recycling materials? And then she was like saying, oh, then I can build extension buildings. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
But I guess all of them did a really good job in presenting their floor plan. Like they still have things to work on from today. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess it demonstrates what they have learned from this project-based learning, where they apply what they learn and make it into how they can connect this to the real world, the real world problems, such as relevant to them as well, and connect to the social studies that.
Yeah. Everything, even down to the architecture, is kind of, everything about Japan can tend to look a little bit homogenous. So I think it was interesting for them to see such unique building designs, and that either Japanese architects are getting inspiration from other places at times, or it's something that comes out of Japanese history that's not really done in modern buildings. They were making some really interesting connections. You can be a little bit more tough on them if they're getting kind of the giggles, like the girls. Feel free to go ahead and nip that in the bud.
Okay.
If I don't know, that can look lots of different ways, but I would have just like closed the Chromebook and just looked at them, like, "Are you ready?"
Okay.
Or "I'm ready when you are." Just looking at them, because they realize on their own. They know, they know that when they're being too over the line with just the chatting and the giggling and stuff on the side. That's a tricky part about such a small group, but also larger groups. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I would look into that. The next time would be better. The next time. Grade 5. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.